When I was young, my father worked very hard every day. He woke up before sunrise and returned home late at night. His hands were rough, and his face always looked tired. One day I asked him, "Dad, why do you work so much?" He smiled and said, "Because I want you to have a better life than mine." At that time, I did not understand his words. Years passed. I went to school, then college. My father never bought expensive clothes for himself. He never went on vacations. He spent all his money on my education. One winter evening, I noticed that my father was wearing an old coat. It was torn and very thin. I asked him, "Why don't you buy a new coat?" He smiled again and replied, "I am fine. Your future is more important." His answer touched my heart. After graduation, I finally got a good job. My first salary was not very large, but I wanted to do something special. I went to a store and bought a beautiful warm coat for my father. When I gave him the gift, tears filled his eyes. He looked at me and said, "This is the most valuable gift I have ever received." At that moment, I realized the true meaning of love. A father's love is often silent, but it is one of the strongest forces in the world. Have you ever realized the value of someone only after they gave everything for you? This is not just a story about a father. It is a story about love, sacrifice, dreams, and the painful truth that sometimes we understand our parents too late. My father never complained. Even when life was difficult, he always smiled. Every morning he woke up before everyone else. While the rest of the family was sleeping, he was already preparing for another long day of work. I often saw him drinking tea alone in the early morning. His eyes looked tired, but whenever I asked him if he was okay, he always said the same thing: "I am fine, son." As a child, I believed him. I thought adults never felt pain. I thought fathers never got tired. I thought they were strong all the time, but I was wrong. One day I came home from school feeling angry. Some of my classmates had expensive phones. Others wore branded clothes. I felt embarrassed because I had neither. That evening, I argued with my father. Why can't we have the things other families have? The room became silent. My father looked down for a moment. Then he smiled gently. "Son, one day you will understand." I was too young to understand. I walked away without listening. That night, my father said nothing. But later, I heard him coughing alone in his room. For the first time, I noticed how tired he sounded. Years passed. Life became harder. My father's job became more demanding. Sometimes he worked 7 days a week. Sometimes he came home so exhausted that he fell asleep while sitting in a chair. Yet every morning he got up and started again. Not because he loved working, but because he loved his family. When I entered college, expenses increased. Books were expensive. Transportation was expensive. Everything seemed expensive. One day I needed money for an important course. I was nervous about asking my father, but when I finally told him, he immediately said yes. The next morning, he gave me the money. I was happy. I never asked where it came from. Months later, I discovered the truth. My father had sold his old watch. It was the only valuable thing he owned. The watch had been a gift from his own father, yet he sold it without hesitation, just to help me continue my education. When I learned this, my heart broke. One evening, I found an old photo album. Inside were pictures of my father when he was young. I was surprised. He had dreams too. He wanted to travel. He wanted to start a business. He wanted to see the world. But life had other plans. Instead of chasing his dreams, he spent his life helping me chase mine. For a long time, I stared at those photographs. I wondered what kind of life he could have had. I wondered what sacrifices he made that I never noticed. As graduation approached, my father became excited. Every day he asked me about my classes. Every day he encouraged me. "You can do it. I believe in you. You are stronger than you think." His faith in me never disappeared, even when I doubted myself, even when I wanted to quit. My father believed in me. Finally, graduation day arrived. The hall was full of students and families. Everyone was celebrating. As I walked across the stage, I searched the crowd. Then I saw him. My father was sitting quietly in the back row. His clothes were simple. His hair had turned gray. His face showed the marks of many difficult years. But his smile was brighter than anyone else's. When our eyes met, I saw tears in his eyes. At that moment, I understood something important. This achievement was not mine alone. It belonged to him too. A few months later, I got my first job. I was excited. For the first time in my life, I earned my own salary. When I received my first paycheck, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to thank my father. But how do you thank someone who gave you everything? How do you repay years of sacrifice? How do you repay sleepless nights? How do you repay unconditional love? The truth is, you cannot. I bought him a beautiful coat. I also bought him a new watch. When I gave him the gifts, he looked surprised. "Why did you spend so much money on me?" he asked. I smiled. "Because you spent your whole life on me." For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he hugged me. It was one of the rare times I had ever seen him cry. Life slowly improved. I started earning more money. I helped my family. I paid bills. I bought things we once could not afford, but something had changed. My father was getting older. The strong man I once knew was no longer the same. His hair became whiter. His steps became slower. His hands shook slightly. Time was taking its toll. One evening, we sat together outside our house. The sun was setting. His steps became slower. His hands shook slightly. Time was taking its toll. One evening, we sat together outside our house. The sun was setting. The sky was painted with beautiful colors. My father looked at the horizon and smiled. "Life moves very fast," he said. I nodded. Then he looked at me. "Promise me something." "What is it, Dad?" "Never stop being kind. Success means nothing if you lose your heart." I promised him. Those words stayed with me forever. A few years later, my father became ill. At first, he said it was nothing serious, but deep down, we all knew something was wrong. The man who had always been strong was now struggling. The man who had always protected us now needed our help. Seeing him weak was one of the hardest experiences of my life. One night, I sat beside his hospital bed. The room was quiet. Machines beeped softly in the background. My father looked at me and smiled. It was the same smile he had given me my entire life. Then he said softly, "Don't be sad." I tried to speak, but tears filled my eyes. He reached out and held my hand. "You made me proud." Those 4 words changed my life forever. At that moment, I realized something. Parents do not expect perfection. They do not expect greatness. They simply hope their children become good people. That was all my father ever wanted. Not money, not fame, not success, just a good heart. Today, whenever I look at the watch I gave him, I remember his sacrifices. I remember his kindness. I remember his love. And I remember the lesson he taught me. The greatest heroes are often ordinary people. They do not wear capes. They do not become famous. They simply spend their lives loving others. My father was one of those heroes, and he always will be. Moral: never wait until it is too late to appreciate your parents. Tell them you love them today. Thank them today. Their sacrifices are the foundation of your future. The richest man is not the one who has the most money, but the one who was loved by a father who gave everything for him.